Okay, hello my friend. Hopefully that you are doing great. So in this lesson, I want to share you about the very first uh, lesson about TestNG's framework. So before talking about that framework, I want to share you what is the problem and why do we need that framework. So for example, if you go back to the test package here, so if we open any test package that we already created here. So you can see we put all the testing logic into the main file, the main methods, not the main file. So in the main methods here, so basically for each Java program, we just have only one main method. So if we put all of the thing here in just one main method, so for something like we are doing for a very big project and it will be messy for us and we need to configure many other things related to our testing project. So if we put everything in the main method, it's not good for us. So today I will introduce for you a very famous framework for automation tests with Selenium and Java. So this framework is TestNG. Okay, so you can go to the homepage testng.org here and then you can see the description about this framework. But basically, this is a testing framework and that will help you to construct your code correctly for your automation test. And besides, it supports for us something like the data-driven testing, and it will support for parameter testing, how to execute the test in parallel as well. So many things more in this framework that we can explore bit by bit, right? So the first lesson today that I will show you how to configure and run the test with the TestNG. So again, because we didn't create a Maven project, so we still need to go to the Maven repository and download the jar file, and then we import to our project. So before we're gonna use the TestNG framework, so what you do that you search the TestNG here, and it's very easy because we just have only one TestNG here. So you click on the TestNG. After that, you select the latest version, but you don't copy the Maven dependency information here because we are not in the Maven session yet. So you just simply click here, the jar file, and then you click on Git. So that means after that, what you do, you just go to the file and then you open the project structure here, then you go to the dependency, then you add another jar file like you did for other jar file. So you can see here, I already add the TestNG 7.4 here, and that means we are good to go. Okay, so now what I want to do, I will try to help you something basic about that test framework. So for example, let me try to create a new Java class file with the name login test here. So now inside this class, I will not create a main method like before. What I do, I will create a new method inside just a normal public void login with correct credential. And by the way, sorry for the background noise around. Okay. So here, what you do inside that you do something like you will copy all the test script, all the things from the test login with pom file here. Let me try to copy it first, and then we can try to remove what we don't need later. Okay, so copy here and then you paste here. So basically, I will delete this line, and what is the error here? Okay, so and what I want to do that I want to replace this thing by URL dot dot starting URL with the login page. Okay, that's it, great. And then we can try to replace the input username and password value here and not this one, the internet dot Heroku app. Okay, let's search on the Google here. So I want to open the authentication form. What's it? The authentication form here, form authentication here, and then I want to copy the correct credential. So this is the username, and the password should be super secret password here. And then I put here. Okay, so we have the methods login with the correct credential. And how can we run this method? So it's very simple because TestNG provides for us the annotation. So you put the ask here and then you put the test. So you see here the test come from the TestNG. So after you select this, it will be automatically imported in your project here after TestNG.annotation.stat here. And how to run it? There is several ways to run it. Because basically in the real project, we will create a test source, but I will share you later. So in this lesson, if I want to run it, it's very simple. The first thing that you right click here and then you see you can create a login test here. So this is the name for login test, and this is the class that you want to test, right? And you have the working directory here, and you need to input the testing URL here equal. Let me try to grab it here. So this one equal this page URL, and you need to remove the trailing slash that we already explained in the previous lesson. So you click OK here, right? So after I create that TestNG class, so when you click here and then you edit configuration, you see here it's already here. So after I hit the OK here, and then I hit the runs button here, you see the runs button. When I click on the runs button, let me try to here. Okay, so I will click on the runs button here. It will trigger this test class for me, and it will run, you see. Okay, let me try to come this first. Okay, now done. So you see here something different here. So this is from the TestNG. We have the login test class here, and in login test class we have a successfully login with correct credential here, right? This is the first way you run it. The second way that you can try to click on the run button here. So probably you need to set up the configuration yourself, but you don't need to do it. Because if you click on the run button here, for example, if you go from edit configuration here, and then what you do, you will add another test, and here from here, you select the TestNG, okay? And then you name something like another login test here. So inside, you will select the class. So in this case, you just need to put something like login, and then you control space. If you successful, you what is the login test? So the login test come from the com.testpro.test package here. Then you can select it. Okay. So if you select the method testing here, it will ask you which method that you want to test. So in this case, I want to test login with correct credential. So this case, I mean, I just want to test for this only method in this class. So that's why I select this method. So sorry for the background noise around. So here, after I select the methods here and I click OK. So even if I have more than one method in this class, that means I will just trigger to run this method only, right? If I run this only, okay? So this is the second way for you, and you already knew how to use the test annotation here. Okay, first thing. So the second thing that try to ask one more test, and I want to share you how the TestNG select and run your test methods in order. So this is something like login with correct credential. So let me try to put this one as something like, okay, so it should be 2, and this is 1. I want to put something like 1 or 2 here. Okay, let me see. Okay, let's just cut this one, and then I put it here. So I try to put something like the same here, and you see here, this is number 2 and this is number 1. Let's try to remove all of the contents inside, because I want to show you how TestNG run your methods in order. Okay, so let's say I will print out that running the login with credential 2, and then I copy this one, I paste here. Okay, and then login with credential 1 here. Okay, so now what I want to do, I will go back to edit configuration here, and I select the class to run all of the methods in this login test class here, and I click OK. Now, if I run it, you will see something different. So you see here, we have the first login with correct credential 1 run first, and then login with correct credential 2 run later. Why? Because TestNG run all the tests in your class in alphabet. So that means 1 should come before 2. So even you put this method in the top, but it will be run, it will be executed later. So TestNG run your method alphabetically. Okay, so you remember about that word. So for example, if you want to put something like this, you want to run this one first, so you can put something like priority. Not this one. I think it should be something test priority. Oh, sorry. It should be priority inside equal. So in this case, I will put at 1 here, and I will put another priority equal to here. So that means I want to run this one first. I will override the default running methods in the TestNG. Okay, and now if I run it, you will see that the login with correct credential 2 will run before the methods 1, and we are not going to use the annotation priorities. I just were daydreaming it a little. So what I put inside is the data priority in the annotation test here. So this is the way we try to override the TestNG running method by default. Okay, so this is the test annotation, and I want to introduce for you more hooks in the TestNG. For example, if I do something like before methods here, so if I have a method with the name public void run before method, so you can name your method anything, or inside here, if I want to try to do something like, I don't want to put any real logic inside, because what I'm gonna share you, that's how the TestNG hooks work. That's it. Okay, and then we can do the real test later. So I will do something like I print something now that's before methods. So now I'm not going to say anything about this annotation. Okay, so we run and then we observe, and then you see what's the difference. So here, if you see from the console log here, you can see before methods, and then run in the first one method, and then before methods again, and then run another test method again. So we can conclude that the before methods will help us to trigger a specific function, a specific method to run before each test method. So in this case, you see it will trigger 2 times because we have a 2 test method inside. This is about before method annotation. And very similar, we will have after method. So what I do, I will try to copy this one and then I enter here. So run before, so this is run after the method and this is after. So if you run, you will see something similar, but now this method will run after test method. So you see here, so before method run in the test method and then after method again. Then you see before methods again. After you execute the test method, we have the after method again, right? So now, for example, if I want to try to prepare some data for the whole test, so the hook I want to use that before the test. So this is the very first hook in this class. So this means for specific this class, this will be run firstly. Okay, so for example, I have a public void create test data. Okay, and then inside here, I just print out to simulate something like creating test data. Okay, something like that. And very similar that we will try to simulate something like we want to delete the test data after this test class is executed. So here we will have after test after that. Okay, so this is after test and create data. And after the test, we want to delete the test data. So here deleting test data. So now if you run the whole class, you will see the whole procedure in the test class with the hook involved. So we have creating test data from before test annotation, before methods for each test method, after methods again, and after it all, so you see here deleting test data that's come from the after test. So basically, in this lesson, I have just shared you how to configure the TestNG manually in your test project, how to use the test annotation, and explain for you the test execution in order in TestNG. Then you learn about the priority, how to override the default testing order in TestNG. And you already knew something, the hook in TestNG here. So this is very basic for the first lesson. Try to practice yourself first, and then we can discuss more about TestNG framework in next lessons. So see you in the next lesson, and bye for now.